What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're taking a look at the GiantMouse Ace Atelier. Atelier? I don't know how it's pronounced, Atelier. And this is, I think, one of the latest versions or the latest models of GiantMouse. And when I saw it, I thought it looked really familiar. And I'll give you a comparison here in a little bit, but the lines of the knife really caught my eye, and the dimensions, is something that it comes in a package that I really like. So I decided to pull the trigger on this one. There are many versions of this. There's micarta versions. I think I now saw a carbon fiber version of this. This is the all titanium version of this. So let me give you kind of a tour of the knife. What you have here is a kind of a harpoonish blade, kind of a drop point, not really. More of a harpoon with this top swedge here. You've got a little bit of jimping for your saber grip right here. You have a deployment kind of spidey hole kind of a thing. It is a kind of milled titanium. It's got texture. Hopefully that comes across. It doesn't have any internal milling, so it has some heft. You've got an anodized titanium backspacer or brass backspacer, what you see here, and a wire clip. This one, I believe, is running on phosphor bronze washers. Yes, this is running on phosphor bronze washers, and I believe this is made in Italy. So that's kind of what you've got. So let me give you some size comparisons here, because this is a really nice size of a knife. What you got here, that's your para 2, and here's your para 3. Okay, so it's kind of smaller than both of these, as you can see, but sharpened blade length, you're looking at a little bit more than the para 3, but not quite at the para 2 level. So sharpened blade or blade length, you're very much a little bit bigger than the para 3. But what I like a lot is this one falls to a fairly compact shape. It carries really nicely. So let me, so the para 3, I'm sorry, that's the para 3. As you can see, if I put one against the other, you see how much bigger, longer and wider the para 3 is than the Atelier. So it carries really nicely. While I have it closed, let me show you here against that's the full size bug out, and that's the mini bug out. So lengthwise is in the pocket, it's kind of in between these two, although this is a little bit both taller and fatter. Let me show you here while they're deployed. So lengthwise, as you can see, it fits like right in between these two knives. Sharpened blade length, a little bit shorter than the bug out, very much in the neighborhood of the sharpened blade length of a mini bug out. But you kind of got the blade length of a mini bug out, but with probably a little bit of a longer handle, longer scales on that. Now, the size comparison that I'm gonna give you here, and I usually don't try and do too many size comparisons, but I think it begs the comparison. That is the Ace Grand, and as you can see, these are just twin brothers, right? Or smaller brothers. The Atelier follows basically the same lines of the Ace Grand, just in a smaller package. So the Ace Grand is a full-size knife. I wear large gloves, and as you can see here, I get a full 4-finger grip, and I still got about ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch back here. So people with larger hands definitely can get, with XL hands, can definitely get a full grip on the Ace Grand. But on the Atelier, my large size hands basically get to the limit of what you can do. So if you have large hands or smaller, this is the correct size for you. And if you got large hands or bigger, then the Ace Grand is for you. Let me give you the blade length on the Atelier. It is sub 3-inch blade, so I don't, it's not one I consider a full, kind of a full-size knife. I think 3¼ inches is kind of where I draw the line personally. But I think the knife for the knife size for EDC is outstanding. So let's kind of start here, and let me talk ergonomics. And the ergonomics on this are very nice. It has this texture that feels really nice in the hand. It doesn't feel like it's gonna fly out of your hand. The cutout here in my hand, it fits 3 fingers right there in the cutout, and then kind of in this background, my pinky kind of locks the knife in place, so I get a full 4-finger grip on this, and then my thumb kind of naturally lands on this jimping that is very nicely done. It has some traction. It's effective. Oh, this is an LMAX, and I just love LMAX. It's been around for such a long time that I think it's become kind of an underrated steel. I think there's a lot of good things about LMAX. It's not expensive, but it's very well balanced. Probably not at M390 level of performance and balance, but probably just, it's probably right below the M390, at least for me, in how much I like it. So the ergonomics, I forgot to say the steel, so that's why I wanted to go back to that. So the ergonomics on this are really good, and part of the ergonomics is how it carries in the pocket. I think this carries really nicely in the pocket. And the titanium version, because it has some heft to it, if you follow my channel for any length of time, you know that I like my knife to have a little heft, to have a little bit of the feeling of solidity. I just feel like, you got, this carbon fiber bug out that I've done, this it feels flimsy in my hand. It feels like a toy knife. But I like it when there's solid titanium. It carries really well, and it feels tremendous in the hand. You can't really choke up. It's not a finger choil, it's a sharpening choil. But I think in a hammer grip and a saber grip, the ergonomics on this are really good. And the pocket clip with the wire, you can tell that it's there, but it's not horrible. And usually these clips, they're not hot spotty, right? It's all round edges. Is that there's nothing here that is kind of sharp. So I think the ergonomics are pretty darn good on this one. Now the action, I've always said that there's 2 components to the action. There's the deployment action and there's the closing action. And the point is joy. The deployment action is just snappy. It's excellent. You can spine flick this all day. Obviously, you can deploy it with your thumb. I'm not very good at that, as you can see. But spine flicking it is just really good. And the closing action, it's not drop shotty or anything like that. So I would say that the closing action is actually mediocre. But for me, the action, the important portion of the action is the deployment, and I think that's where this excels. The only problem I have with this is the same problem that I've had with the Ace Grand and with all of the other GiantMouse knives that the Jutland, the other GiantMouse knives that I've reviewed, is the lock bar axis. For an otherwise outstanding design, it's really outstanding design. It's really good. I don't understand why they can't do a little bit of a cutout or an indentation on the inside of this scale, to kind of let you access the knife. You kind of the access, the space between the scale and the liner lock here is just very minimal. You kind of have to jam your finger in there to kind of get it to disengage, and it is, oh my god. There's videos on how how people are increasing the access to this. If you go to Neve's Knives, he's got on the Ace Grand, he did a cutout right here to increase his access on the micarta. What I did on mine is I didn't increase it this way, but you can see the liner lock on the inside of the scale. That's because I did a little bit of a divot on the inside of the scale to improve the lock bar access on my Ace Grand. I'm not sure I feel as confident of doing that the same in the titanium scale, so I'm kind of stuck with that unless I can send it to a professional modder and do something. So for the action, I think that the deployment is excellent, but between the disengaging of the lock bar and the fact that it doesn't drop shut or anything like that, I think the closing action is pretty mediocre. It's on an otherwise, what I think it's an outstanding knife. I think that the lock bar access is a huge miss on something that shouldn't cost them very much at all to fix, and they just haven't. They've decided to stick with their guns. So the Jutland has the same problem. The Ace Grand has the same problem. I imagine that other GiantMouse knives have the same problem, since they're kind of all designed by the same people. Cutting is excellent with this knife. The blade shape is really great, and I'll show you here the thickness comparison of the blade. So the thickness is very much in the neighborhood of the Pair 2, okay? And while it's not as tall as the Pair 2, you still get a full flat grind. So I think the Pair 2 still gets a little bit thinner than what you get on the Atelier, on the GiantMouse, but cutting with this has been really pleasurable. It's a smaller blade, so obviously there's some things that you're not going to be able to do with, that you would want to do with a larger blade. But for EDC type tasks, I think the cutting on this is phenomenal. It came okay out of the box, sharpened. I kind of stropped it, and that made it a whole lot better. But the cutting on this, I would say, is very good. It's definitely not a slicey as kind of a bug out, and this is just a step down from kind of a Pair 2 or a Pair 3, but very much in the same range as a Pair 3. I don't think you'll feel a tremendous amount of difference between the cutting performance of this to a Pair 3. Build quality, fit and finish. I like the value on GiantMouse knives. I think is tremendous. If you look at Metal Complex's channel, he thinks, or his belief is, that the Ritter Hogue, right, the RSK Mark II, whatever, that knife is kind of the point of diminishing returns, right? That at that price, with what you're getting in that package, from there you still get better knives, but you pay a lot more price for the value that you're getting. And for me, I think that GiantMouse hits the sweet spot in both design, construction, quality of materials. In this one, you've got carbon fiber, you got Elmax blades on both. This one I changed the clip. These guys, the Lynch doesn't make. They make an aftermarket pocket clip for the micarta versions of these knives, but I found out the hard way that the micarta version has a different kind of slot configuration. I don't know why they did that, but anyways, but I think that as far as design, construction, quality of materials, build quality, all those things, I think that GiantMouse is probably right up there in quality at the top, and I think that this is no exception. I think that the milling is phenomenal on this titanium version. I haven't handled the micarta version or the carbon fiber version, but I think that this is just is really good build quality. Especially at this price point, I think it's hard to beat at this price point. What else? Airing of grievances. I think that it's an outstanding knife. I highly recommend this, but I do have to warn you that the lock bar axis, it's become, I hate that I have a pet peeve in knives, but my pet peeve is lock bar axis. GiantMouse sucks at doing good lock bar axis. Pena knives sucks at having a really good lock bar axis. I don't understand it. It's, you know, I'm guessing that these knife makers, they probably have big bare paws of working with metal all day. I have no idea how the heck they're getting their fingers into these lock bars. I think that my only airing of grievance is the lock bar axis. You know, the wire pocket clip. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with them because I think that they're one of the most functional pocket clips out there. You know, they work really, really well. They're kind of very discreet, right? Once you put it in your pocket, and this is deep carry, once you put it in your pocket, you know, all you see is like this wire. There's nothing flashy, but I think at the end, it's also just the wire, right? And I think, you know, more could be done. You can flip it, but you still have a kind of right-handed knife just because of the line lid lock configuration. Guys, I really do recommend this knife, but just know that the lock bar axis, it's a little bit of a pain. So if you want this to be kind of a fidget, you'll enjoy deploying it quite a bit, and I think you'll hate closing it just because every time you disengage it, it's going to take a significant amount of force to jam your kind of finger in there to disengage it. Other than that, I think it's a phenomenal knife at a phenomenal value and really well built. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If it did, then like and subscribe only if you think that I earned it. And until I see you at the next one, take care.